Hello, I'm going to be presenting our biology finals project, and the project is about the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm working with Gretchen, Cristina, and Alyssa. And in this project, I'm the microbiologist. So yeah. And the first slide is about the COVID-19 pathogen. And the pathogen is a receptor binding gene that has a similar structure to the SARS virus one. And they use the same receptor and the same cell entry receptor called the angiotensin converting enzyme 2, also known as ACE2. And the picture up here shows how the pathogen looks like. So we don't know how contagious the virus yet because we haven't done enough research or collected enough data. But it's possible that it is possible that the basic reproduction value is higher than the influenza virus, which had 1.8 basic reproductive value. So it is estimated to have a basic reproduction value of 2 or 2.5, which means that an infected person can spread the virus to 2 other people that are around or surrounding. And the COVID-19 is an RNA virus. And the second slide is about um, infection and transmission. So how the COVID-19 affects your body and how it's transmitted, how you get it. So the pathogen targets a person's respiratory system, and it affects the respiratory tract. It moves down the airway to the lungs, the mouth, the nose, the throat. And shortness of breath occurs when you're exposed to the symptoms. Specifically after 5 to 8 days, shortness of breath occurs. And shortness of breath is caused by inflamed lungs, which is caused by infection of the alveoli. And then the COVID-19 is mostly transmitted by close contact. So if you're standing near an infected person, you're most likely going to get it. And the virus is carried by respiratory droplets, so coughing, sneezing, spitting, anything that comes out of your mouth basically. And to get infected, the droplets have to land on a nearby person's mouth, nose, wherever they can inhale it to. So then when they inhale it, they're basically the virus is basically transmitted. So yeah. And then the third slide is about the incubation time. So for after you've been exposed, for your symptoms to show up, it could take up to 2 days minimum and 14 days maximum. And then an average of 4 to 5 days after your symptoms and when you've been exposed, near an infected person, you can be contagious. After 4 to 5 days, you can be contagious and spread it to other people around you. So you have to be careful about that.
Hi guys, I'm your cartographer Alyssa Lopez, and I'm here to share the numbers with you guys. Let's hop right into it. Since the 100th case in California, within a span of 70 days, 81,828 cases have occurred. Now, in the diagram in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that the bottom line right here shows the increase in California cases from days to cases. The line above shows the increase in New York cases, which is the leading state in coronavirus cases, confirmed cases in the United States. As Heba said earlier, the incubation period is 3 to 14 days, but the symptoms typically show 4 to 5 days in. This could vary amongst people depending on the severity of the case and if you're asymptomatic or symptomatic, but typically you'll know within 4 to 5 days of contracting the virus if you have it or not. You're considered contagious 48 to 72 hours before the symptoms show. You're contagious throughout the whole entire time you have the case and the virus, but you're considered most contagious in the beginning stages. Now, while over 5 million people have tested positive for coronavirus globally, and this may seem like a lot, but less than 0.07% of people have had the virus. 5 million might seem like a lot now, but when you put it in perspective with how many people there are on this planet, it's not that many. 1 out of every 3 people who come in contact with somebody who has the virus will catch it as well. So if one person who's infected meets with, let's say they meet with 24 people, 8 out of those 24 people will be very likely to have caught the virus from that one person. Let's move on. So let's map it out. The population of Walnut, California is 29,685. 58.6% of these people are between the ages of 18 and 65. The majority of those people who are not between those ages are senior citizens. 58.2% of the population is females. Let's look at the other infected areas. So, as I said earlier, New York State leads the cases in the U.S. They have about 358,000, give or take a few. Wuhan, China is the origin of the disease. That's where it is said to have broken out, and that's where it originated from. In California, LA County leads the cases with about 42,307 cases. So who's at high risk, you may ask? People at high risk are senior citizens, so that includes everyone 65 years old and older, the patients at nursing homes, people with underlying conditions. So these can include people with respiratory issues, as the coronavirus is a respiratory disease. Some of these issues can include lung disease, asthma, if you smoke, having lung cancer, any of that. You are also at high risk if you have heart disease, if you are obese or you have diabetes, if you have kidney or liver diseases, or if you have weak immune systems. So with weak immune systems, that could include any autoimmune disease, if you are a cancer patient and going through chemotherapy, if you have HIV or AIDS, if you got an organ transplant, or you are donating an organ, you are still at high risk. Thank you for listening to my portion of this presentation. I'll pass it on to Gretchen now.
Gretchen, and I am the physician of the group. So the symptoms of COVID are similar to ones of a cold, such as muscle pain, sore throat, and difficulty breathing. These symptoms are visible on both children and adults. The tests that are currently available are viral and antibody tests. The viral tests are used to see if you have a current infection, but the antibody tests are used to see if you had a previous infection and seen if you had built up antibodies against it. The viral tests are performed with the swabbing of the back of the throat, and antibody tests are made from blood tests. The progression of the disease varies in people. The disease, first of all, enters through an external point such as the nose or mouth, or even eye. Once the virus is inside your body, it will infect a singular host cell and replicate thousands or millions of times. The period of replication is when the disease is undetectable or dormant. Soon after, the symptoms will begin to surface because the immune system will notice the infected cells and begin to attack them. As the virus goes down through the respiratory tract, such as the nose, mouth, throat, and then lungs, breathing begins to get harder, which could lead to pneumonia. This is normally when people are put on ventilators. And then if it gets worse, the patient will get RIDS, which is an infection of the alveoli. And since the alveoli is where carbon dioxide and oxygen diffuse and transfer, the alveoli won't be able to carry as much oxygen, which means blood cannot carry that much oxygen. Then the blood cannot support all organs, and the organs will begin to fail. However, most people
get better once they get to a ventilator. For the next steps of the disease, what to do if you have it is that it is recommended to stay home and rest. It is also recommended to take care of yourself and monitor your symptoms with your doctor. However, the symptoms do get worse over time. It is recommended to go over to a hospital and be isolated there and put on a ventilator. For the preventive measures, it is recommended that you take part in social distancing, such as what we are doing right now, such as staying home. However, if you need to go get necessities, you should wear a mask and not touch your face when touching surfaces from outside. Use hand sanitizer also when you go outside and at home to clean high-touched areas, and to also use disinfectants to clean off those areas.
My name is Cristina, and my role as an administrator is to prepare and help people within the city from COVID-19. To prepare for this outbreak of COVID-19, when you are going outside, practice social distancing by staying 6 feet away from those who do not come from your household. You can also stay updated by watching local news on your TV to learn new precautions for safety, as new information is almost released every day. You can also stock up on supplies and medicine and purchase soap and disinfectants. For staying home in quarantine, emergency kits can be very useful. Some suggestions on making an emergency kit could involve items like hand sanitizer, bottled water, first aid kit, a thermometer, snacks, and hygiene supplies. In case you didn't know what quarantine meant, it is a state, period, or place of isolation in which people or animals that have arrived from elsewhere or been exposed to infectious or contagious disease are placed. Some quarantine procedures could be to not invite friends or relatives over your household, staying home until it's safe to go outside, and if by any chance you do develop symptoms of COVID-19, go grab a thermometer and check your temperature and isolate yourself from others as best as possible. Also, it is very important to stay productive daily and exercise. From this coronavirus, wash your hands well frequently, cover your cough, wear a face covering if you're going outside, practice social distancing, have vaccinations up to date, and don't share items or food. Anytime you have concerns, questions about the virus, you can contact the local city officials by calling or emailing. You can also find the answer to your questions by watching local news daily or even browsing the internet. It is also important to spread awareness about the coronavirus. You can do so by informing about the disease and precautions to close friends, relatives, or neighbors. Another way to spread awareness is to also speak out on social media. And that's all about it.
The last slide that we have for you guys is our reference page. Here you will be able to find all of the sources and the websites that we used for our project.